Are you ready to alter your life? Because that's what's about to happen. If you're looking for a judgment-free zone where TMI doesn't exist, to have the conversations you're not supposed to have, and explore how to make small yet substantial, sustainable changes in your life to actually care for and empower yourself through physical and emotional fitness, then you're in the right place. I'm your host, Alyssa Alter, MOMDON, the Amy Poehler of vaginas, author, speaker, coach, former Broadway performer, certified Pilates instructor, pelvic health expert, comedian, co-founder of postpartum.com, mom on the mend, and board certified doctor of nothing. I believe that if we put as much time, energy, and discipline on our insides as we do our outsides, we'll be unstoppable.
Welcome back. To say that I am excited about this week's episode is, I know I say that about a lot of the episodes because obviously I only talk about or bring on guests that I'm excited about. But this one, I am literally out of my mind because this season, we're really talking about, my inspiration for this season was really cracking open taboo topics, like really talking about things we don't talk about that are very much a part of our life, like the episode with Erin Carr about addiction, right? And the parallels between addiction and emotional regulation, or not parallels, but the relationship between the two. And this episode, we are talking about sex work, because how are we going to talk about the taboo topics of things that exist in our world that we're pretending don't, and that we're shrouding in shame and stigma, and not talk about sex work? And in this episode, we're actually diving into the niche world of FinDom with FinDomme, they're spelled differently, Lane Kwederis, who's my friend, who I performed improv with for years before I learned about this side of her life, because it's shrouded in stigma and judgment and shame. And that's in our culture. Sex workers are subject to that stigma, shame, and judgment. And you know that here on this show, here with me, anything I do ever, it is a 100% judgment-free zone. And I don't believe in TMI. I do believe in boundaries. Maybe we should have an episode on that, TMI versus boundaries. So, okay, Lane and I met as teammates doing musical improv, where we made up musicals together for years before I knew anything about her life and what she does professionally outside of the theater. Lane is a comedian, sex worker, and the creator of a brand new show called Sex Job, a show that gives you an inside look into the life of a financial dominatrix. That's what a FinDom is. And that's what a FinDom does. Lane can also be seen on shows like Broad City, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, Master of None, and Netflix The Characters. Seriously, Lane is so talented. She is the most loving, caring, accepting, supportive, incredible friend you could ask for. And I highly encourage you to go ahead and follow her on Instagram at Lane Kwederis, and also her account at Sex Job Show, so you can stay up to date with what's going on with her show. And in this episode, we talk about how sex work is a robust part of our culture, and let's learn about it instead of before we judge, and then maybe let's practice not judging. We talk a little bit more about what a financial dominatrix does and what financial domination is, how Lane's experience as a performer and a comedian and a dominatrix informs her self-worth, sexuality, and confidence. And we get a little preview to the brilliance and fun, just so much fun, of her new show, Sex Job. So, oh my God, have fun. I cannot wait to hear what you think about this. DM me, email me. If you're subscribing on Substack, which if you're not, go ahead and subscribe on Substack. You can comment on the post that's any of the posts, but the post about this episode, and share your thoughts and what was eye-opening, and what my hope is that by learning more about this, it opens up your mind to think about this and other things a little bit differently, to, dare I say, alter your life. All right. Thank you for being here. I love you, and enjoy this conversation. Okay, Lane, I am so excited because I love you. And I am so excited to talk to you about this today, because talk about a taboo topic and something that comes with stigmas from if there's a direction, it has a stigma. And so to get started, to lay the groundwork, to just have a baseline understanding that we're all together on, what is it that you do?
Oh, great question. I do a lot of things. I'm obviously a comedian, and that's how we know each other. But I am also a sex worker. More specifically,
yes.
I am a dominatrix. More specifically,
we love specifics.
I am a financial dominatrix, which for
AKA
Findom.
Mm-hmm. Because I remember when you first shared with us this side of your life, and I had no idea what that was.
Totally. A lot of people don't even know it exists.
Right. Well, and I think we hear sex worker or dominatrix, whatever, and it's like, enter in whether your frame of reference is whatever it is, that's where it begins and ends, and you kind of don't hear anything else. So what is a FinDom, and what does a FinDom do?
Yes. Okay. So in normal domination, it's about the sub relinquishes the power to the dominatrix or dom. In financial domination, money is power, and also just like capitalism. So the sub relinquishes their power, aka money, to me. And if you put that together quickly, you might be like, wait, do men pay you money for the pleasure of paying you money? Yup. I cracked the code. I did it.
So if you were overthinking that, listener, stop.
They like to pay me money.
Exactly.
And I like it too. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So their kink is around money and giving me money. And there's a lot of other stuff within that. Like there is still like typical female domination within that. There might be humiliation. There might be tease and denial. There might be just fun, like mind gamey type things. Or there might be like foot worship. There's all sorts of different kinks within it. It's kind of like each person has their own different like mixture of kinks, and each session I do is like a salad of fetishes. And I, the chef who can sometimes say, I'm not going to make that.
That is not, listen,
that's
like something I say. That's something I say to Everett when I serve him dinner and he wants something else. I say, that is not available right now.
I'm sorry. Or all these ingredients are, but not that other one. Yeah.
No, that's not available right now. Very different context. I just want to say that I know that me telling Everett about his dinner is a very different context than you in your work.
I mean, I don't know. When a man is horny, they kind of turn into a baby. I love men.
That's true. I just was trying to make this statement that I'm not trying to sexualize my 3-year-old. It's too early for that.
Okay.
However, I agree with you that
sometimes.
However, I think infantilizing adults is totes approps, and we honestly, I don't think we do it enough. I really think that we often find ourselves in these spirals or these like weird dynamics, or like I get in these fights where I'm like, are we in a fight? Like what is happening here? And the reality is like we're both having tantrums. Yeah. And so it's like, this doesn't make sense because this makes no sense. Like we're both like everyone's just reacting to our experience like how toddlers do. And when we look at it through that framework, it's like, oh, we can resolve this.
Yeah, totally. We all have our baby.
So I love that. I just wanted to be clear that I wasn't trying to say that I'm like dominating and trying to have like anything like that. But I think also I'm going to assume that you, my friend Lane, and you listening know this about me. So we'll just, okay, enough about that. There's so much here I want to talk about because I think that there is something so powerful in this financial domination, right? And you talked about how money is power. Yeah. And we as women know that. And we are usually not in the dominant role around that. Right. And so being in that role as a woman, right? And like that has got to feel so fucking powerful. Yeah. And how does that for you, Lane? Like, I'm going to make an assumption, which we know when you assume you make an ass out of you and me, but I'm doing it. That's got to feed into your regular life. Yeah. No? Like right?
Totally. And as did also the evolution of my relationship to doing sex work. Like, so yeah, at first, like, it was like, ooh, this is cool, but like, I have to keep it hidden. And I would keep it pretty hidden for a while. Yeah.
So this also, the second thing I wanted to talk about, and I was like, oh, which one do I go first, is how you got started.
Yes. Okay. I've been doing this. Right. Yeah. I've been doing this for over 15 years. My OnlyFans, I'm consistently in the top 2 to like 6-ish%. What else? Yeah. I had a Twitter that had over 57,000 followers. Anyway, but that's not how I got started. That's just like me now, 15 years later. Yeah. But when I started out, I just went to these foot parties. And people would just pay money to kiss and like lick and what they call is like worship my feet. And yeah, I was clothed.
Wait, but take it back one step further. Okay. How did you get to the foot party? Like, were you trying on shoes? And then what is like from that Sex and the City episode where the guy is like, and you're just, and he's like, I'll pay you to come to a party with my friends. And you're like, okay, fucking cool. Yeah. Like how?
Yeah, I'll take it back in more. I was like a comedian, like, trying to get by in New York City, tried waiting tables. It was really tough. And exhausting. And honestly, I felt more like treated way worse waiting tables than doing this. And then I started looking on Craigslist for just like different gigs. And it's interesting. Like I bartended at a party where I wore just paint as a shirt. And on Craigslist, there was also something that I did that was sushi modeling, where I was a human table, like with sushi on me.
Like the episode of Sex and the City where Samantha did it. I didn't prepare all these Sex and the City references. I mean, it feels natural though, but whatever.
Like a lot of my life is
okay. So you were
in the City. But interestingly, the foot party is, I was like, I don't know. It's like fetishy. And it's like, wait, I was like way more like naked and like literally objectified when I was a human table in these other scenarios. And I had a friend that did it and I went and tried it. And I was like, oh, like these men are actually like super respectful of like my boundaries and like always kind of like asking before doing anything. And I was like, oh, this is actually like really fun. And I'm getting a foot massage and like, I'm feeling like very sexy because of my feet and like a very interesting
and like
experience.
Respected and honored.
Yeah, truly. Like, treated with like real respect and honor, which was different than what I was used to from men.
Yeah. Amazing. So then it grew from there.
Yeah. It grew from there. I basically had a client that was into the idea of us going to the ATM and taking out a certain amount of money. And eventually I was like, wait, is this a thing? And turns out it is totally a thing. And it's called financial domination. And I discovered it on Twitter, literally like look up #Findom, or just, I guess maybe people don't really use hashtags anymore. Just like keyword Findom. And it's a whole world. Like it is a whole other world that exists. So I built an online persona. I decided I don't show my face online, so I just kind of show from like here down. And I'll wear like lingerie and things, but I don't necessarily get nude, and that's just my choice. Some people do, some people don't. It's nice to know you have options. Like it's truly a choose your own adventure situation. And I started to acquire clients from all over the world. Like I have clients serving me from like Greece, like Dubai, London, like, yeah.
So what does that look like with them? Does that look like if they hire you, you're like, wire me X number of dollars and I don't want to hear a word about it? Is it, these are the boots I want?
Sometimes, yeah. Yes and yes, all of the above. So a lot of them usually will want some sort of a session. So it is like a typical like pro dominatrix thing where it's like, you know, maybe they're spending some time either on cam, kind of like what we're doing right now.
Oh my God.
It's like we're having a session. Or we'll do like video response sessions. So I'll send them videos and they'll just type. So especially if they're shy, that's a great option.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, it will entail sometimes them buying me gifts. Like there's basically like a baseline they have to pay in order to do something like that. But then some people are just like, can I reimburse for something? Like sometimes it's small, like coffee. Like I'll just post about that on Twitter and something will show up like in my different, what we call tribute options, which is the code word for payment. So that it's, you know, a little, because it's interesting. Like technically what I'm doing is legal, but also it's very dicey, like, because it's adult work, but I'm not necessarily, and it is sex work, but I'm not having sex for money. And that's where it's like, it's so gray. And it's like, can we just, you know, decriminalize this? But yeah, they're working on it.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was something that I really wanted to make sure that we touch on because, and we've already said, like, your experience getting into this was like, wow, I actually feel more empowered and in power because they are asking what my boundaries are. So even if I don't have them, I'm going to make some. And then especially as the dom, you have to hold them, which like what a practice, right?
It's been a really, sorry, go ahead.
And which is so great. And in those sessions, and especially when you are with a client, a trusted client, someone who's really honoring this, yet because this is not legalized, there's no anything or protections around it. How do you navigate this and like ensure your safety? I'm sure part of it is like also just like honoring your gut.
Yeah.
Like if you have a bad feeling about someone, it's just like, no, I will not meet you. Like,
yeah.
Which probably is hot to them. Because it's like, there's no fucking boundary. I don't know.
I said, I made that face in response to that's hot for them because sometimes, they'll want to get something out of like maybe you denying them and being like, oh, I just gave them a session for free. But
shit.
So there's two things. Okay. First, I want to just like talk a little bit about boundaries. And that is that like, definitely with doing sex work or really anything, like there is a push and pull with boundaries. And obviously like, even though a lot of these people, you know, are exploring their submissive side or are submissive, there's a lot that will still try to push your boundaries. And will have a very clear idea of what they want and don't really care at all about what I want. And it's a very interesting thing to navigate. And so I have crossed boundaries a lot as well, but also as a result of it, I have gotten so clear with my boundaries and I've gotten to practice saying no to men, which was not something I was taught growing up. So it's actually really, it's been like a journey, but it's really reinforced, my ability to really listen to my gut and to do what I want. Okay. And then your second question was about
around safety.
Yes.
Because this isn't, you aren't protected.
Totally. And of course, like men love to incite violence towards women and especially sex workers. Once sex is involved, they get angry. because it brings up a lot of feelings.
And they're entitled to it. And there is so much of that. And how do you, as a woman who grew up as a woman in this country, conditioned as a woman, especially a beautiful woman, and growing up as a performer, as a dancer, all of that, like there's a lot, like there's just so much messaging around abandon yourself and do what they want.
Yes. Yeah. So there's that for me. And then there's also the messaging toward them that like, if you don't get what you want, you're a failure. Like all of the shame around if you're not having sex with women or and being rejected by women, you're a loser. So it's like, we both have like this icky stuff being thrown on us from patriarchal trauma. So yeah, it's really about, I have found myself in situations where it has felt icky or I felt unsafe. But in general, I've been really, and also some of this is also privilege, like having money, having the ability to screen, there's a lot of things that like I also have privilege being like a white, small bodied, blonde woman who has enough money that I can say no to things. And so there've been a couple situations where it has been tricky. There's people that like, I have a few rules basically. So like some of the rules, which I developed by breaking them, are.
This is how we learn, right? It's trial and error.
Is like, I don't get nude in sessions. I don't allow any touching of each other in any sexual areas. And I'll just be like very clear, very cut and dry about it. And a lot of people are like, wow, you're really professional. And I'm like, yeah, this is a job. Like, I think they're just not used to.
You're paying me for a service.
So that I don't meet people after 10 p.m. because after 10 people get weird.
That was a rule that I had for myself when it came to first and even second dates when I was dating. Yeah. Because people on the apps would then be like, hey, like I'm going to be out with my friends, but I'll be free around 10. Like, will you be out? And I'm like, that's not going to be my first date with you.
Right. Yeah.
Like when we're dating, yeah, absolutely. And we'll have a great time. But like that is it. Cause it's a different scene. It's a different vibe. It's a different thing. And I think I'm not in any position to say this, except I am someone who loves you, but like, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Cause that's really safe.
Yeah. A lot of what I do, what's really great is like a lot of what I do now is mostly online. Like it's not a lot of in-person stuff anymore, because of COVID.
Even safer.
Yeah. Even safer. Truly. Like everyone can be in the comfort of their own home and, can explore in different ways where they feel even less like they're taking a risk, which is great for everyone involved. When I have met people in person, and I still do occasionally, I make sure I get a deposit. So there's obviously like a paper trail to them and they know that, and like those things are private, like to me, but obviously if there's an investigation, they'd be screwed and they'll
become public.
Yeah, they'll become very public. And I also meet them in public. And so that's also really important.
I was going to say, do you do the thing where like you have like one trusted friend or someone where you're like, I'm meeting someone at this place at this time.
Yeah.
I should be done at this time and I'll text you when I'm done. And if not, contact me.
I mean, in general, like people know where I am. Like I'll tell my boyfriend, who's been incredibly wonderful and supportive and it's been so nice. I've had boyfriends that have been seemingly accepting and then not. People have weird relationships with this, and it is a lot to navigate. Like I will say that too. And I even in the past when I was first starting out and was doing a lot more in-person stuff, I would actually call someone in front of them and be like, okay, I'm going in for the session, just so that they knew
someone else knew
where I was. But mostly gut. Like you can tell a lot generally with your gut.
Right. Which also is a skill that is often built from having that feeling ignoring it and then being in finding yourself in a difficult situation and being like, I should have listened to that feeling. And then the next time you have that feeling, whether or not you actually listen to it, you're like, I should listen to it. This is the feel. I think I know what this feeling means.
Yeah.
And then you build up the fluency and the trust to be able to really do that, which is so awesome.
Yeah, such an important skill.
Something that we talked about very briefly once before. I think it was like one of the first times you shared, because I knew you for a long time before I knew about this side of your life.
I kept it secret for a long time, especially in the comedy world.
And was that solely to keep, I was just going to say business and pleasure, but then I was like, which one's which? Separate church and state? Like, keep business and pleasure separate? Or was that because of your own feelings or fear of other people's feelings? Or which I guess is related to your own feelings. Like, what was...
It was definitely a lot of shame. Like, it was a lot, there's so much stigma with sex work. And I have had people react with really negative feelings towards me with it. And worried that I would be kind of put in this box, especially in the comedy world as a woman, a woman, it's already hard. And then as like a sex worker is just like, oh, she's just like a dumb bimbo sex worker. I want to be seen as like,
well, everyone's just going to be like, there's going to be slutty thrown around because they're never going to listen to the conversation about what you actually do. Yeah. And it's just you fucking people in a bathroom. Do you know what I mean? And I'm saying that as like, these are the stigmas. This is also what we see in movies. Right. And then like shooting up. It's such a heightened, unique, one tiny slice of what is involved in that whole world. And there is so much more going on. And that's in the conversations I've had with you. What I love is I feel like you create this very full human world of it.
Totally. And also like a lot of us have fucked in bathrooms, like just because like money's involved, like, oh, okay,
I didn't get fucking paid for it.
Toilet, like that all of us have done that around. Like, come on, let's get over this.
Which is it? Is it the money or is it literally the shit?
Yeah.
Right next to you?
Yeah, it's so interesting that like I think to a lot of people the second money is involved, there's a lot of judgment. And it's just ridiculous.
Which is also interesting.
Yeah, also a power thing.
Which is very interesting. A power thing, yet we are conditioned as women, and I've spoken about this on this show and had plenty of conversations with people in conversations that do not include being paid money for sex, like as a sex worker or anything like that. Yet, as women, we are conditioned. Sex is our currency.
Yeah.
So while I'm just checking, is this true? I've never been paid for sex. I have certainly used it as currency.
Yeah.
I've been used by it for I have been in the situations where like I bought you dinner, I get to finger bang you now? Like, no, you don't.
Totally.
You didn't. But at the same time, this is used as currency. We are taught that this is our currency. This is what we have to bargain with.
Yeah. And like anything
yet
can
then
be currency, but especially this has been taught to us. And then they're like, hey, wait a second. Don't use it to your advantage.
You actually fucking do it. They're like, you get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, I think like we were like forced to marry people for dowries to like help our families. And then like Anna Nicole Smith marries a rich man and everyone's like, whoa, 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 whoa. like,
how dare you?
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas this was consensual. Like, whereas back then, like a lot of times it wasn't consensual for that woman. Maybe she didn't want to necessarily marry that man, or maybe she did. Who knows?
No, but it raised the status of the whole family. Yeah. It saved the family farm or estate or just social status.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah. This shit goes back. It goes back very far. It is very, very deeply ingrained. Yeah. So I don't know, what Was there one thing? What was the evolution like where you really started? I guess it probably starts within yourself, like a level of acceptance and then owning and then sharing that this is part of your life.
Yes.
This is what you do.
Exactly.
You're a professional.
Yes. I think it especially started to happen a little bit before the pandemic, but I especially I think when I was single, I was really able to detach my worries about what the person I'm dating is thinking of me. And all of their own, and detach myself from their own shame, their own stigma. So that was a huge thing. And then the other huge thing is I'm writing a show about it, and it's, sharing that with the world. And it's been so interesting, talking more and more about it, talking to people, writing about this super rich topic, because there's just so much, especially in the world of kink and these niche kinks. There's so many things people have never even heard of that exist. It's always changing. Even Findom has totally blown up. There's a lot of theories around it. I think Dan Savage has a theory that financial domination especially started around the what was it, I guess was it the crash, the recession back, what was that?
2008?
Yeah. I think that's when it started to get a little bit bigger. And, a lot of fetish, not all of it, but there are a lot of certain topics with fetish or certain people's relationship to fetish, that it is a way for them to move through their own anxieties or trauma, or let go of things. And so a lot of people had all of this anxiety around what if I lose it all? And so literally kind of playing that out and sexualizing it, which allows them to experience this feeling of losing money and actually feeling pleasure while they're doing it, changes their relationship to it. And that's especially true with humiliation. If they were teased a lot and when they were kids and they're just trying to stuff down those feelings and not face it, it's actually incredibly intelligent, to bring up those feelings and turn it into pleasure. And it can be really healing. Not everyone, unfortunately, allows it to be. A lot of people want to stay stuck in that cycle. And I love getting to help people heal through it. And I try my best too. But there's a lot of people that want to not grow, or maybe just don't have other tools. So many people, I'm you should talk to your therapist about this. And they're I can't tell my therapist this. And I'm that's what they're there for. Or most of them are just not even in therapy. They just haven't even, this is the first toe dip of being able to, face the things that are under the surface for them and talk about something with someone.
Even just confront it, bring it up, acknowledge it. Well, this was such a perfect lead in, because something I really wanted to hear from you about is, I remember you saying that you incorporate Reiki into your sessions.
Yeah, I have done that a little bit. I haven't done it as much.
You've dabbled.
Yeah.
I guess the last time we spoke, you were starting to incorporate that. And speaking about how this is a healing, it can be a healing experience, and how that's something you really enjoy, and it about this work is facilitating that and participating in that.
Totally. Yeah. I'm also studying the Alexander technique now, which to me blows Reiki out of the water. And it's also a hands-on technique. I'm glad you brought that up, because it makes me want to bring that into in-person sessions a little more. I think I was telling you, at the very end of the session, to just have a few moments to collect themselves, to feel safe, to feel supported. And it can really help, just a little bit of support, even just energetically from someone is huge. And obviously too, there's also boundaries with that, because there's a lot of people that look to me to hold all of the hard feelings for them. And a lot of the ways they'll do that is they want me to be the villain in their story. And they want, let's say, God, there's so many situations. Let's say with Findom, with money, they're they will approach me and they'll be I really can't spend money on this. I really shouldn't, but like, I'm worried you're just going to take advantage of me. And it's like, okay, in improv talk, because doing this is really just doing improv, people.
You're telling me to really go big.
Yeah, to go big and take money from you, right? And so they want me essentially to take over and play the villain. Mm-hmm. And this is a way for them to have fun. Like, it's a, a fun taboo situation, but a lot of them too, it's them not wanting to take agency in their own life and, expecting me to, looking to me to blame me for their relationships to things that maybe they're not willing to look at. So it really, it's so interesting. It can really swing all of the different ways.
But what's really interesting to me about what you just said is that, you are speaking in this context of they are paying you to be the villain. They're paying you to explore the things they don't want, but they do want, because that's why they brought it up.
Which is also hard for me. Like, that's been a whole other thing to be like, this person might not like me, or they want to not like me, and having to like let that just be. Or like they do like me, but then they don't, because obviously they're also coming to me for this. Like, it's such a weird, interesting
and dealing
mixture.
with or not dealing with, but bringing up and confronting your need to be liked.
Yes.
And in what circumstances do you need to be liked, and how sometimes in order to love someone, you hurt them. Like,
yeah. Having to really detach.
Not to perpetuate that, but that sometimes the most loving thing I could do for my ex-husband was divorce him.
Exactly. Yes.
Was to free us.
Which caused him pain.
Do you know what I mean?
And yourself.
Which caused pain, but that was the most loving thing that could be done for both parties. Right. But it involved pain and discomfort. Yes. And what you said,
and also, I shouldn't just say cause pain. Like, obviously, there was already pain there. It was like admitting to the pain too, right? Like
admitting to the pain and like poking the bear a little bit, like bringing that up. Like you said, this is the opportunity for people to confront that and recontextualize it.
Yeah, totally.
But the thing that you said that I was going to comment on was that, like, I remember feeling this way. I used to teach certain clients, like there was a certain studio where I just got a lot of clients that just kind of came in and wanted to hand me their body and all of their body problems. Right. And they were like, it's yours to deal with now. I'm not doing it. And I would constantly say, like, if I'd like hold someone's leg, I'd be like, I'm going to let go. Like, you have to hold it is your leg. Yeah. I got my own. Like, you cannot literally dump yourself on me. And that was when I started, and I was like, there's so much more happening here than a workout. Yeah. Like, I know so much about you as a person and what you're dealing with, and I can then approach you I can meet you where you're at.
Totally. And
part of that is going to be you starting by holding up your own leg. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it, and then we're going to take a break and do it. Oh, that was hard, because that was about more than just your freaking leg.
Right.
And that parallel in what there's like it's not Pilates, but it's not.
No, totally.
Right? Like, in that way.
Honestly, everything is everything.
Everything is everything, but it's also like, we've dated those people. We've been friends with those people. We might be blood relatives to those people who were like, I don't want to deal with it. It's yours.
Yeah, it's all relational.
And it's really complicated to be like, that's actually not mine.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. And it does a service for them to be like, oh, that's mine. Like, for them to then recognize it, as opposed to thinking, staying in victim mode, right? Staying in victim mode and not, being able to learn to change and make adjustments and learn to say no to things themselves, or yes to the things that they want. Yeah.
Have you ever heard from a client, like gotten feedback about this translating into other parts of their lives?
Oh, interesting.
Or that they might not bring that into your sessions.
Yeah, they don't
because
always, but
they're not here to process their session necessarily. You know what I mean? In that way with you?
Yeah. I mean,
they're there to have the session.
I have had people reach out and say that I've helped them. I'm trying to think of specifics. I mean, actually, interestingly enough, okay, this really relates to Pilates, is there have been some instances with me and with other DOMs that men will have us be kind of like the accountability person for working out or like eating healthy. And so they'll have like a punishment if they don't do, and these are like kinky punishments that they want, like, or at least, maybe like they don't want, but they kind of do. And it's honestly a way for them to kind of have training wheels, like with more motivation, something that actually motivates them to be able to get into a new habit. So I actually have had that, and that's been really interesting.
To create like an exciting type of accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a weird question that I'm going to ask, but maybe not. But like something like that, when you become their accountability partner, how do you charge them? Are they like on a retainer, or do you charge, like, how do you like the business side?
Totally. It's all over the place. Like the business side of this is like feast or famine. It's, I might have nothing happening one day and then like a ton of sessions the other day. Most of the stuff is last minute. It's literally when they're horny and it's just like, I have a dick emergency. I need to do a session. I need to do a session
oh
right
my God,
now.
I have a boner.
I have a boner and I don't know what to do. And I need you to tell me to put icy hot on my balls. Like,
and then wire me an undisclosed amount of money.
Yeah.
And then buy boots.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Come on.
I saw these boots. I need to buy them for you. My dick is so hard. So that happened. And me being like, I don't want those
are
boots.
direct
or like,
quotes, right?
Yeah. Whatever it might be. Honestly, a lot of direct quotes. But it will depend on the person, because I have to also put up really clear boundaries with that, because then they might want to be like chatting every day. And it's like, okay, well,
exactly.
You are taking up my time for this. So we'll try to figure out like a set thing, maybe weekly for this specific, we'll call it project. It really depends. And, I have my more set like rates and things like that for Skyping and for online sessions. But when it comes to stuff like that, it takes a little more figuring out, because it depends on how much of my time they're going to take up, really. And also if they're like, an energy suck, like there are people that are lovely. And then there are people that just want to like suck all of my energy and take as much attention from me as possible.
Do you want to know what I call that increased fee? The asshole tax.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We've called it that too. It's very common.
Where it's just like, like you cost more. Like this is really, it's not just, it's my time, it's my energy.
Yes. And while you might say that inside, we say that directly to them. Which is fun. It's fun getting to just say it directly.
What an exercise for you, again, in these this deconditioning of what we've been taught as women and reconditioning into what it means to be an empowered woman with boundaries who speaks up for herself and speaks honestly.
Thank you, yeah.
And isn't here solely to protect everyone else, which is also interesting as that's coming out of my mouth. It just felt interesting to say that about you as a person, because knowing you are, one of the most loving, caring people I've ever known in the world. I am not the only one who believes that. Like you really are. So I feel like it's also even more powerful. Like if for anyone who is naturally such a caretaker, which gets into people pleasing, self-abandonment, all of that, totally. To balance that out with this type of
work,
work and like that Dom energy.
Oh, yeah.
We all need to bring a little bit of that Dom energy into our lives, no?
Yeah. I mean, Just
to practice.
Dom energy, it doesn't have to be mean. It's really about, knowing what you want, being really clear with it. And listening to the person. Like, a lot of what I'm doing in these sessions is usually what they are wanting me to do. But taking the reins and knowing what I want to do within that and what I don't want to do within that. And sometimes there's people that are like, I just want to do what you want. And that can be also really fun too. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You have a game.
I have a game. Okay. So this is, so in my show that I'm in the final stages of writing, which is called Sex Job. There are...
Do you have a performance date yet?
So I performed a piece up from it at the Brick this summer. But I think I'm not sure exactly yet. I think it'll probably be January, February is when I'll be starting to put it up, possibly doing some readings. So you can check like my Instagram, which is @Lane Kwederis, and I'm sure you'll put this in like this, comment
the show
stuff.
notes. Yeah.
But then also the Instagram for the show is @SexJobShow. And so I'll be posting about that. I'm looking at taking it to Edinburgh this summer, which I'm really excited about. Yeah. And I did a rough draft read through with a bunch of comedian friends just like a couple weeks ago, and it went really well. And so now I'm just in the final stages of final rewrites.
Amazing.
And I'm really excited about it. And so we're going to do a section from that essentially. However, so this is a game show, we'll say. But in this section, we're going to do entirely new facts. So this is entirely new and fresh.
Okay.
Like the thing in the show is entirely different. And so we are going to play a game called Did I Do That for Money? The game show where I tell you about some wild stuff, some niche kinks, and you tell me if you think I did that for money or not. Got it?
My palms are sweating.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And just so you know, if you get it wrong, you will offend me. Just kidding. You'll be fine. Or will you? It's my real life. We'll see. Okay, here we go.
We'll see. But also, like, this whole process of writing a show and doing all of that it helps you process and confront your stuff.
Yep.
Which I found extraordinarily therapeutic when I wrote Me Party, #I Love My Life, which was about divorce and dating. Like that helped me close that chapter. And I'm writing a new show, We Party, #This Is Motherhood, all about motherhood before I have this second baby, which I was like, why in the midst of all this stuff do I want to do another show? And I was like, Alyssa, because this is your fucking therapy, is to write this, figure it out, and then sing, have a captive audience and sing at them for an hour. Like, duh.
Love it. Yeah.
Right. So this will be great. Definitely let me know if I offend you. Okay, great. Okay.
So that's just me messing with you. You honestly cannot offend me. All right, here we go. Ready?
Did
Lane
do this
money?
for work?
Did I kick someone in
money?
Someone in the balls so hard that they fell down to the floor? Yes. So many times. A bunch of times. And also lightly sometimes, but yeah, sometimes they fall. All right, next. Did I go to concerts and sit on someone's shoulders? And did he pay me to shoulder sit at these concerts and also pay for the tickets for money?
Yes.
I have done this many times with him, and we have seen
one person many times.
This is like a super niche kink, honestly. I'm like, this exists, and it's a very small niche community.
But I hope that this inspires someone who's like, no, I want to do that. Whether they want to be the sitter or the city, right? Like by talking about it, we give people permission to explore.
Exactly.
Okay,
all right.
Okay, I did it for money.
I saw Guster, I saw Billy Idol, I saw Shaggy.
Yes.
And got paid. And also had a great
Wait,
deal.
Shaggy is the...
wasn't me.
Shaggy is
No.
Did he bang you on the sofa?
Wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Side note, Shaggy talks in a normal voice when he's not singing. That's like not his accent.
That's weird.
It's pretty odd. All right, here we go. Did I remote control someone's butthole?
Like a vibrator in their butthole?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there's apps on your phone.
Yeah,
I can do it with someone in another country. It's wild. It's pretty crazy. It's amazing. All right.
Technology, my friends.
Did I fart on someone's face?
Oh my God, you did.
I did not. No. Honestly, I'm shocked I haven't, but also it's like very difficult to like, I mean, one, I just, haven't, no one's asked
How do
me.
you fart on
Exactly,
command?
I can't do that. Like, I'd have to be like, oh, hang
Also,
on, come
I
over
would-
here. Like,
Because also to be like, oh, I'll eat some gassy foods, but then you don't know exactly how long it's going to be. And I don't know. I have IBS. Every fart is risky.
Yeah. I don't want to take that risk.
Thankfully, my surgeon repaired my anal sphincter to such a degree that I do have control not only of my flatulence, but I don't shart. It's not like I don't know it's a fart or a poop, but it's also just like I'm always pooping.
Yeah. And you know what? Celebrate that.
That would be very dicey for me.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Did I make someone put on lingerie and dance to Britney Spears' Toxic?
Yes.
So many times.
Because you're not an idiot.
No, I'm like, give me a show. And they love it. They love to do that. Did I have a guy give himself a wedgie with a phone cord?
No.
Yes.
You did.
They come
Yes,
to
you
me
did.
with all
Yes,
sorts
you
of
did.
office supplies, usually when they're at work and are like, make me do things. And I get creative. Speaking of which, did I have a guy put icy hot on his balls? I maybe gave a hint. Yes. I did.
Yes, you did. That's called foreshadowing, my friends. This is theater magic. You see, that's also a callback to something earlier. She is a professional.
By the way, guys love to put stuff on their balls, turns out. Did I have a guy put an eraser up his butt?
You
I
did
not, because that is dangerous. It could get lost up there.
You're absolutely right. I've watched enough Grey's Anatomy to know that is not safe. And butt plugs have that thing on the end for exactly that reason, because there's like a double sphincter situation in there, and it really can get pulled up into your rectum. And if you are this is for you, listener Lane, I feel confident that you know this, but I just don't think we can say it enough because we don't talk about anuses enough. But if you are exploring anal play, anal sex, any of those things, there are safety measures that you want to take and take them seriously, because you don't want to be like that guy on Grey's Anatomy with the Judy doll
You don't want to be.
You don't want to be that guy, you know? And there are really safe ways for you to play and get your kinks out and get your butt stuff on.
But play responsibly. This is educational. All right. Did Amazon shut down my account for being a sex worker? Yeah. I lost a gift card balance of over $8,000. Didn't really do that one for money, but Amazon did. I know. That's what happens with sex workers.
Damn.
I know. It's really crazy. All right. Did I make someone drink my pee?
No.
Yeah. Out of a cup generally, and a bunch.
I knew, but I didn't want it to be true. Not because I'm judging it, but because it's pee.
And to be clear, when I say I make them do this, this is 100% them being like, Goddess, will you please make me put a Tabasco sauce on my balls? Like, it's always them like asking me to make them do something. All right, here's a lightning round, okay? Here we go.
Way safer than putting an eraser up your butt.
Way safer. All right.
Wait, what did you say? This is the last
lightning
question?
Round. We're going to go really fast. Did I
lightning round.
spit on someone's face? Yes, so many times. Did I spit in someone's mouth? Yeah, like a ton. Did I stand on someone's face? Yes, they wanted their face to be the floor. Okay, last question. Did I walk a man wearing little booty shorts down like Broadway and the 80s on the Upper West Side, and have him drop pennies, and when he bent over to pick them up, give him a spanking for money?
Yes, you did.
I'm sorry. The answer is I did not do that for money. I did that for me.
You did it for free. You did it for me.
Congratulations. You win. Did I do that for money? Make sure to watch Sex Job Show, where I will have so many more questions. And this bitch better have more money.
That is such a fun game. And this is like, God, this is why one of the reasons I was so excited to have this conversation with you, and that I'm so excited to share this conversation, is the way that you bring just some freaking humanity to this very real, very
yes, it's so much more common than we realize. Like it's so much more common.
This is part of our culture. Yes. We're just not talking about it. And so we're pretending it's not, but it absolutely is. And I really, really, really hope, and I know that this is going to inspire people to think a little bit differently, to catch themselves in that loop of whatever. We all have them. The stigmas, the stories, the assumptions, the judgments, we all have them because we were taught them. And that we stop and think about them and think about, is that actually how I feel about this, knowing what I know? Or even to just say, I do think that right now, but maybe there's a lot about this that I don't know. So based on what I do know, I think this, but if I knew other things, I could think different things. And just
especially knowing other people and their experience within it is huge, right? We learn so much more from just listening to people's experiences. Yeah.
And, you're going to leave us with a tip. Okay, so we also talked about how as a woman, right, conditioned to be a woman in this country, a woman who grew up as a woman in this country, conditioned to be a woman in this country, or I don't think there's a country in the world that this doesn't apply to. Anyway, I don't have to become a professional at this to explore this more dominant side. Or, we could talk about this in reference to, I had a podcast episode on Myth of Motherhood about yin and yang, right? Like the masculine and the feminine. So, right, this dominating, more masculine energy where we have hard boundaries. Yeah, she said hard. And we keep to them and we explore them and we face our stuff and we own it and all of that. We don't have to become a professional to do this. We can practice this in our lives alone or with our partners. And so, okay, as the professional, Lane, if you were to if I were Lane, I want to bring some of this is it, Lane, I want to explore some of this just energy in my life, exploring what it feels like to be in that stance. What is something I could start with?
Yeah, definitely learning when to say no and listening to your gut. I would say, having let's use a specific example. I'm sure you've covered some of this with I believe in other podcasts, but let's say you're having sex and something's painful or you have an urge for something, but you immediately tell yourself oh, I shouldn't ruin the moment. I shouldn't I'm starting to feel, let's say, a little dry and I want to ask for a little more lube, but they seem really into it. I can almost guarantee you.
Also lube in general, not even lube more lube, but maybe you're using no lube and you're I wish we had some lube.
Yeah. Lube is great. Just having that on the ready, because you never know when you may need some. Or sometimes you could have anxiety around sex lasting too long, whatever it is. Lube really helps. It's so funny to be anxiety about sex lasting too long, but I guess that's a problem sometimes I have. But
that's a real thing too.
And I will say from my own experiences with partners, if you're doing it in a way that's considerate of them or empathetic towards them, but still honoring yourself, just asking for things almost always is honestly usually a turn on for that person, for your partner. So if you are saying hey, I really want more lube, they're probably going to actually even not only be willing to do that for you and you're going to feel so much better and more comfortable, but it will be reinforcing of oh, I can ask for things. And a lot of times it will even be a turn on for them or something that they actually want because people don't want you, especially sexual partners. They want you to want things and want them, and being open with that and having that clear communication is key. So yeah, I think those are some ways.
Again, I
think
that's
a very specific example.
I think that's a great. No, but I think that's a great one and a great callback. She did it again. She's a professional. So to what we talked about earlier about our conditioning that sex is currency for us, right? When in reality, when you're in a relationship that is not a bad one, right? Like when you're in a healthy relationship, your partner wants you to have pleasure. They want you to feel good. And, you know, I definitely, when I first started having sex, it was just sort of like, I don't know, you do your thing and like, I'll figure it out.
Right.
Like it is a relief to your partner, again, for you to not just hand over your body, but to say, I want this.
Yes.
This would feel amazing. Giving them guidance. And then they're like, I'm going to do the thing you want. Like, because then we both get what we want. And I got to do that is awesome. Male or female, but definitely
yeah.
men.
And being aware of,
But any partner.
Yeah. And I was just going to add to it, like being aware of your own experience and needs also allows you to be more aware of the other person's experience and needs. Because like, just a reminder, like being a dom for me, even a pro dom is like, it's about listening to also what they need and what I want and letting something natural come out of that and alive, way more alive than just like putting on this is what I think this person wants. Then you're both going to feel hollow. And that's in like everyday life, right? That's just in like even a conversation, it doesn't have to be sex. It's anything relational.
And a reminder that like we learn how to do this by learning. So it also might be, and it starts with using this example you brought up. If you're having sex and you feel a little dry or it hurts a little bit or you want to do another position but you're like in a moment, you're like, I don't want to ruin it for them. Even it starts with noticing that. And then maybe after, maybe that time you don't say it during it.
Yes.
Or maybe the next few times, but you have a conversation after.
Yes. And maybe it will.
There was this moment where I wanted to ask this, but I was nervous. How would you feel if I did that?
Totally. And also, they might have some, like, there's a chance there might be discomfort in your partner. And that's also an opportunity to listen to each other and explore, okay, what's going on with you with that? You know, that's not to say like, you know, I could see someone be like, hey, wait, I asked for lube in the middle of the sex and my partner said like was upset by it. And that's just also uncovering another thing that you both can explore together. And hopefully that your partner is willing to go on that exploration with you. Ideally.
And you have a conversation, you build intimacy, you do all of these things and you both grow and learn together. See, this is why you are the best, Lane. Again, you know, because I really just, this conversation alone, I think it's going to be impossible for someone to listen to this and leave with their same story about what sex work looks like. And I think breaking the separation from it, like, again, like we've said, like this is a very robust part of our culture.
Yeah.
And like, let's learn about that.
Totally.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with me and listening to the end of this episode. Look at you. You're someone who finishes what they start. I love that about you. And if you're picking up what I'm laying down, be sure to visit me over at alissaalter.com for more resources on how you can alter your life, like downloading the 5-minute meditation that I use to start my day with confidence and ease, all before getting out of bed. See you next week.